Look around you. Really look. What do you see? People chasing approval from other people. Hearts breaking because someone didn't text back. Dreams dying because a friend didn't believe in them. Potential wasted because a family member said, "You can't do that." And the saddest part, many of us have internalized this dependency so deeply that we don't even recognize it anymore. We think it's normal. We think it's just how life works. But I'm here to tell you something that will shake the foundation of everything you've been taught about needing validation, approval, and support from the creation around you. What I'm about to share isn't philosophy. It's not a self-help hack. It's not psychology dressed up in motivational language. It's a truth that, when it settles into your heart, will liberate you completely. You don't need anyone. Not really. Not in the way you think you do. And once you understand this, once you truly internalize it, your entire life changes. We live in a time of unprecedented connection, yet unprecedented loneliness. We have more friends on social media than any generation in history, yet we feel more alone than ever. We have access to more advice, more guidance, more opinions than ever before, yet we're more confused about our direction. Why? Because we've been sold a lie. The lie is that other people hold the key to our happiness, our success, our worth, and our future. Think about it. How much of your day do you spend thinking about what others think of you? How much of your energy goes into trying to impress people who, frankly, probably aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you're thinking about them? How many decisions do you make? Not because they align with your values or your purpose, but because you're afraid of judgment. The human being has this unique ability to become enslaved to the opinion of other humans. We create invisible chains, and we lock ourselves inside them. Nobody forced you to care about that comment someone made. Nobody made you doubt yourself because of someone's look. Nobody made you abandon your dreams because of what people might say. You did that. As harsh as that sounds, it's also the most liberating thing I could tell you, because if you created those chains, you can break them. Here's what happens when you're dependent on people. You become fragile. You become a prisoner. Your mood, your confidence, your sense of worth becomes hostage to the moods and opinions of others. One negative comment ruins your day. One person's doubt makes you question everything. One betrayal makes you lose faith in your entire journey. Is this the life you want? To be this fragile, to be this dependent? The Creator has given you a mind. He's given you the ability to think, to reason, to discern between right and wrong. But when you outsource your decision-making to other people, when you let them be the voice in your head, when you make their approval more important than your own integrity, you're essentially saying that their judgment is better than yours. You're saying that their perspective is more valid than your own. And deep down, you know that's not true. Now, I want to take you somewhere deeper, beyond psychology, beyond self-help, into the realm of spiritual reality. There is something profound that happens when you realize that the only being whose opinion truly matters is the one who created you, the one who created the entire universe, the one who knows you better than you know yourself. This isn't about being arrogant or dismissive of people. This is about putting things in a correct perspective. Think about it logically. How limited is human knowledge? How finite is human power? A person can criticize you, but can they guarantee your success or failure? Can they truly harm you? Or can they only harm you if you let them? Can they give you what you truly need? Or are they just as needy as you are? When you place your complete trust, your complete reliance, your complete confidence in any human being, you're placing it in something temporary, fragile, and limited. That person might leave you. That person might betray you. That person might change their mind. That person might not have the capability to help you when you need it most. And then what? You collapse. You break. You lose your direction. But when you place your trust in the Almighty, in the Creator of all things, you're placing it in something infinite, eternal, and all-powerful. You're placing it in the one who cannot be influenced by whim, the one who cannot be corrupted, the one whose promise is absolute, the one who is never distracted, never forgetful, never unfaithful. This isn't blind faith. This is rational faith. This is understanding the nature of reality and acting accordingly. The spiritual principle here is simple. Your relationship with the Creator should be so strong, so secure, so certain, that even if every single human being turned their back on you, you would still be okay. Not just okay, you would still be powerful. You would still be capable. You would still have purpose and direction. One of the greatest obstacles to your growth, to your success, to your fulfillment is the need to please people. And this need is often disguised as something virtuous. It's called being nice. It's called maintaining relationships. It's called being considerate. But let's be honest about what it really is. It's fear dressed up in the language of virtue. When you say yes to something you don't want to do because you're afraid to disappoint someone, that's people pleasing. When you hide your true self because you're afraid of judgment, that's people pleasing. When you abandon your goals because someone said you couldn't achieve them, that's people pleasing. When you stay silent about injustice because you're afraid of losing friends, that's people pleasing. And here's the tragedy. The person you're trying to please often doesn't even appreciate it. They take it for granted. They might even lose respect for you because they sense the desperation in your need for their approval. Meanwhile, you're sacrificing pieces of yourself, compromising your integrity, and moving away from your actual purpose. But what happens when you stop seeking approval from people and start seeking approval only from the Creator? Everything changes. You become free to speak the truth. You become free to pursue your authentic goals. You become free to make decisions based on principles rather than fear. You become free to be yourself without apology. Now, this doesn't mean you become rude or dismissive of people. Quite the opposite. When you're free from the need for their approval, you can actually be kinder to them, more authentic with them, because you're not performing. You're not trying to extract something from them emotionally. You're not desperate. And paradoxically, people respect and appreciate you more when you're not trying to please them. Think about the people you respect most in your life. Chances are they're the ones who are secure in themselves. The ones who aren't constantly seeking your validation. The ones who can say no when they need to. The ones who stand for something. The ones who are clearly guided by something deeper than just the opinions of those around them. You respect them because they're not dependent on you. They have their own source of strength. That's what you need to become. When you're trying to please everyone, you're focused on everyone but yourself and your purpose. Your energy is scattered. Your attention is divided. Your motivation is reactive instead of proactive. But when you have a singular focus, when you say, my goal is to please the Creator, to live according to His guidance, to fulfill my purpose, suddenly everything becomes clear. Decisions become easier. You develop resilience because you're not devastated by every person's opinion. You develop consistency because you're not changing your direction based on what people think. You develop power. This is why the greatest achievers throughout history were often misunderstood, criticized, and opposed by people around them. But they weren't derailed because their focus wasn't on pleasing the crowd. Their focus was on something higher, something greater, and that focus gave them the strength to persist even in the face of overwhelming opposition. You have talents, you have ability, you have a unique purpose that only you can fulfill. But if you're constantly distracted by what people think, if you're constantly adjusting your path based on their opinions, you'll never fully develop those talents. You'll never reach your potential. You'll spend your life as a half version of who you could have been. The spiritual path teaches us that your purpose isn't to make people happy. Your purpose is to fulfill your role in this creation, to develop yourself, to contribute positively to the world, and to do it all in a way that aligns with truth and justice. When you orient yourself toward this purpose, when you make decisions based on this compass, you become unstoppable. People will still criticize you. That's inevitable. People will still disagree with you. That's fine. But their criticism won't shake your foundation because your foundation isn't built on their approval. Your foundation is built on something infinitely more solid. In this age of social media and constant exposure to other people's lives, comparison has become the thief of joy. We look at what others are doing, what others have achieved, what others possess, and we feel inadequate. We feel like we're falling behind. We feel like we're not enough. But here's the thing about comparison. It's based on a fundamental misunderstanding of reality. You're comparing your inner experience with someone else's outer presentation. You're comparing your behind-the-scenes struggles with their highlight reel. You're comparing your full, messy, complicated life with a carefully curated image that someone else has chosen to show the world. And even if you were comparing accurately, even if you knew the full truth about someone else's life, the comparison would still be flawed because you're not there. You have different gifts. You have different circumstances. You have different purposes. The Creator has given each person unique abilities, unique opportunities, and a unique path. What He has assigned to you is perfectly suited to you. What He has assigned to someone else is perfectly suited to them. When you start comparing, you're essentially saying, I don't trust that what you've given me is enough. I want what someone else has. That's not just psychological weakness, that's spiritual weakness. The antidote is to stop looking at others and start looking at your own potential. Stop asking, how am I doing compared to them? And start asking, how am I doing compared to who I was yesterday? How am I developing? How am I growing? What unique gifts do I have? And how can I cultivate them? When you shift your focus from comparison to cultivation, from external validation to internal development, you become a different person. You become focused. You become driven. You become powerful. One of the most painful realizations in life is that people betray you. Friends turn their backs. Family members disappoint you. People you trusted hurt you. And if your sense of security, your sense of worth, your sense of hope is built on people, then these betrayals will shatter you. But here's the thing. People are imperfect. They're going to disappoint you. That's not a reflection of your worth. It's just the nature of humanity. Everyone is limited. Everyone is flawed. Everyone is struggling with their own issues. Everyone will at some point fail you in some way. Now, does that mean you should be cynical? Does that mean you shouldn't trust anyone? No. But it does mean that your primary trust, your primary reliance, your primary source of security should not be in other people. It should be in something greater. When you place your ultimate trust in the Creator, betrayals hurt less. Not because you don't feel the pain you do, but because the betrayal doesn't shake your entire world. You understand that the person was limited, that they made a choice, but that doesn't affect your relationship with the one who is unlimited and eternal. In fact, betrayals can become some of your greatest teachers. They teach you about human nature. They teach you discernment. They teach you to be more careful about who you trust with sensitive information or vulnerable parts of yourself. They teach you resilience. They teach you that you can survive disappointment. And most importantly, they teach you that you don't need anyone. You can stand alone if you have to. This is a profoundly liberating realization. Once you've experienced real betrayal and survived it, once you've felt the sting of disappointment and bounced back, you become less afraid. You become freer. You become more confident because you've proven to yourself that you can handle it. There's a kind of strength that only develops when you stop depending on others. It's the strength that comes from knowing that you can take care of yourself. You can handle problems. You can figure things out. You can adapt. You can survive. This isn't arrogance. This isn't thinking you don't need help sometimes or that you can do everything alone. It's knowing that ultimately your well-being is your responsibility. Your success is your responsibility. Your growth is your responsibility. And that responsibility is the source of your power. When you're dependent on someone else, you're weak relative to them, you're in their hands. They have leverage over you. They control something you need. But when you're self-reliant, when you know that you can take care of yourself, that power dynamic shifts. You're no longer desperate. You're no longer grasping. You're strong. And here's the beautiful irony. When you become self-reliant, when you're not desperate for people's approval or help, people actually want to help you more. People respect you more. People are drawn to you more. Why? Because strength is attractive. Confidence is attractive. Self-assurance is attractive. Desperation is repulsive. So paradoxically, by needing people less, you find that more people want to be part of your life. But now it's on your terms, not theirs. Now it's a choice, not a necessity. Now the relationships are healthier because they're not built on desperation. Here's something that often gets missed in discussions about self-reliance: gratitude. When you understand that you don't need anyone, when you understand that your ultimate reliance is on the Creator, you become more grateful for the people in your life, not less. Why? Because you recognize that any help from people, any kindness, any support, it's a bonus. It's something you appreciate because you know you don't need it. You could survive without it, but you're grateful for it because it makes your journey easier, better, richer. This changes how you treat people. Instead of being demanding or entitled or resentful, you become appreciative. Instead of feeling like people owe you, you feel like you've been blessed by their presence. And that gratitude creates stronger, more genuine relationships. The spiritual dimension of this is crucial. When you're grateful to people, you're also grateful to the one who sent them your way. You recognize that any good that comes to you is ultimately from the Creator, whether it comes to the hands of another person or directly. This gratitude keeps you humble. It keeps you connected to reality. It prevents you from becoming arrogant or prideful. So the path isn't to reject people or to be cold and dismissive. It's to appreciate them without needing them, to love them without being dependent on them, to include them in your life without making them your life. If you're honest with yourself, a lot of your dependency on people comes from fear. Fear of being alone, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough, fear of not mattering. These fears are real. They're human. Everyone has them. But the question is, are you going to let these fears control your life? Are you going to let them keep you small? Are you going to keep you dependent? The only way through these fears is to face them. And the best way to face them is to remind yourself of a fundamental truth. You matter, not because of what you do, not because of what you have, not because of what others think. You matter because you exist. You were created. You have inherent worth and dignity simply because you're a human being. This isn't arrogance. This isn't entitlement. It's just truth. And when this truth settles into your heart, when you truly believe it, many of your fears begin to lose their power. You're afraid of being alone, but you're never truly alone if you're connected to the Creator. You're afraid of failure, but failure is just information. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's just feedback that helps you adjust your approach. You're afraid of judgment, but ultimately the only judgment that matters is the Creator's judgment. And His judgment is based on your intentions and your efforts, not on the fickle opinions of people. As you face these fears and realize that you can survive them, as you realize that the worst case scenarios you've been imagining aren't actually that bad, you become braver. You become more willing to take risks. You become more willing to be authentic. You become more willing to pursue your true purpose instead of the safe path that keeps everyone happy. Here's something fundamental that we often miss. You weren't created just to please people. You weren't created just to fit in or to make others comfortable or to live according to someone else's expectations. You were created with a purpose that's bigger than all of that. That purpose might be to create something, to help others in a specific way, to stand up for justice, to develop a skill or talent, to be a positive influence, to raise good human beings, to solve a problem, to contribute to the world in your unique way. But this purpose can't be fulfilled if you're spending all your energy trying to please people and seeking their approval. Your gifts will remain dormant. Your potential will remain unrealized. Your contribution to the world will go unmade. The world needs what you have to offer, not because you're perfect, not because everyone will agree with you or like you, but because you have a unique perspective, unique abilities, and a unique contribution that no one else can make. But here's the catch. To fulfill this purpose, you're going to have to be willing to disappoint people. You're going to have to be willing to disagree with people. You're going to have to be willing to do things differently than how they think you should do them. You're going to have to prioritize your purpose over their approval. And that requires a strength that can only come from knowing that you don't need their approval, that your worth isn't dependent on their validation, that you can stand alone if you have to. One of the most important things you can do is to build an internal fortress. This is a place inside you that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. A place where your sense of worth, your sense of purpose, your sense of direction is so solid that no amount of criticism or rejection can move it. This fortress is built through deep reflection, through understanding who you are, what you believe in, what you stand for. It's built through connecting with something greater than yourself. It's built through small acts of courage, where you do the right thing even when it costs you. It's built through failures and how you respond to them. Every time you do something you're proud of, even if no one else knows about it, you add another brick to this fortress. Every time you stand up for your principles, even when it's unpopular, you add another brick. Every time you treat someone with kindness when they've hurt you, you add another brick. Every time you persist even when people have told you that you can't, you add another brick. And as this fortress grows stronger, as it becomes more solid, you become less and less affected by the external noise. You can hear criticism and evaluate it rationally, instead of being devastated by it. You can receive praise without becoming arrogant. You can face opposition without losing faith. What I'm inviting you to is freedom. Real freedom. Not the freedom that depends on external circumstances being favorable. Not the freedom that depends on people being kind. Real freedom. The freedom that comes from internal strength, from a secure connection to something greater than yourself, from knowing who you are and standing firm in that. This freedom isn't easy to attain. It requires you to question beliefs you've held your whole life. It requires you to feel uncomfortable. It requires you to be willing to disappoint people. It requires courage. It requires faith. But once you have it, once you've tasted what it's like to be truly free from the tyranny of needing people's approval, you'll never want to go back. You'll look at people who are still enslaved to this need with compassion, because you'll remember what that felt like, and you'll want to help them find their way to freedom too. Here's the ultimate truth that I want to leave you with. You are complete in yourself. You don't need anyone to make you whole. You don't need anyone to validate your existence. You don't need anyone to give your life meaning. These things are already within you and they've already been given to you by your Creator. People can add to your life. People can make your journey easier or harder. People can support you or oppose you, but they cannot determine your ultimate success or failure. They cannot take away what's been given to you. They cannot stop you from fulfilling your purpose unless you let. So the question isn't whether you need people. The question is, who are you without them? Who are you when you're alone with yourself and with the Creator? What do you believe about yourself? What do you stand for? What are you willing to do? What are you unwilling to compromise on? Answer these questions honestly, and you'll find your true strength. You'll find your true purpose. You'll find your true freedom. You don't need anyone. Just Allah is enough. And once you truly believe that, once you live according to that belief, your life becomes a masterpiece, not because everyone approves, but because it's authentically, courageously, magnificently yours.